If you're looking to get started in short-term rentals and investing into Airbnbs, here are the 4 things that you need to do before you buy your first property. Look, the first thing that you need to do is you need to educate yourself on the difference between long-term rentals and short-term rentals. A lot of people make the mistake when they're looking to buy their first property of taking what they've learned in long-term rentals. Even if you've never owned a long-term rental, a lot of people believe in buying and holding, and it's all about appreciation. Well, the bonus of investing into short-term rentals, which I believe is the #1 asset class today, is that we get to take advantage of the 4, 5, 6, even 7 times cash flow on a monthly basis on a short-term rental that we would generate in a long-term rental. Now, with that being said, you still want to look at markets. You want to look at the appreciation history inside of the markets. You need to think about your bankability and your pay down. We'll talk about that in some of the other points, but you need to understand the differences. Also, long-term rentals are more passive. They take less time to manage than short-term rentals. But what I've seen is a lot of people think, oh my God, I got 1 million people coming in. There's going to be parties. They're hard guests. Dave Ramsey gets it all fucking wrong. Believe me, he has no clue. He's never owned a short-term rental. But here's the deal. The guests, most of the time, are typically causing less damage and are easier than a traditional long-term rental client that you have as well. All right, number 2 is going to be the bankability. So when you're going in, you need to prepare for your bankability. You need to understand your debt to income ratio. If you're watching this on YouTube, right down below, I've got a free DTI calculator for you. You need to understand how the investments work and what management, what technology you're going to need to go into it. But the bankability is the second thing. And the bankability, there are different options that we can use in short-term rentals. You have traditional commercial loans, which I like 20-year amortizations, and understanding that a 20-year am through a commercial loan versus a 30-year amortization through a Fannie and Freddie, a traditional mortgage, is going to increase your principal pay down faster. So when me and my wife started investing, almost every single product that we did for probably the first 25 plus short-term rentals were all using local banks on commercial loans. Most people just go into the average Facebook group and they default, hey, who should I use? And they say, oh, look at this banker, go straight to a DSCR product. There are multiple options. So I highly recommend when you're looking to make your first investment, you go to at least a minimum of 6 banks. 2 local banks in the market that you're investing into, 2 local credit unions in the market that you're investing into, and then 2 national lenders. Like Brenna Carls from the mortgage shop, she just did my last deal. I did a second home Fannie and Freddie with her, 10% down. She got me cleared to close in 48 hours, and we actually closed the deal in 8 days. Finding somebody like that, like Brent at the mortgage shop, that can actually deliver quickly is critical because time is of the essence. All right, number 3 is going to be your technology. A lot of people are afraid of investing into short-term rentals because they think it's going to take way too much of their time. Well, my wife and I are extremely busy, just like everybody else is. We currently own 7 different businesses. We co-host, manage properties. We own our own properties, and not one of them is in Nashville where we live. The closest property for us is 2.5-hour drive. Most of our properties are 2 to 4 hour flights, like to get to Montana or get down to Alabama, drive to North Carolina, to Banner Elk. We have 2 properties there. That's a 5 to 6 hour drive. So what's really important about this is we need technology. We need good people. So it starts with STR Insights. STR Insights is what I use to search the entire country for properties. And then they actually give me the data. So if I find a 4-bedroom, 3-bath in Tucson, Arizona, I can look at STR Insights and it'll show me, oh, that property is going to do $85,000 a year on average. Well, then I can track my portfolio and see, is it 50th percentile, 75th percentile, 90th percentile? Well, I live at like the 142nd percentile. I outperform the 90th by about 52%. So I know that if that property is going to do 85 inside the 75th percentile, I should be able to easily do $145,000, $155,000 a year if I follow the trend of my existing portfolio. But then you look at like Wi-Fi locks, door locks, smart thermostats, cameras. Having all that technology in line is super critical. Like I use Schlage & Code locks, Ring cameras, Ecobee thermostats, Pentair app if I have pools to be able to manage heat and pumps and that type of stuff. That means I can manage 20 plus properties in less than 5 to 7 hours a week. Now, one of the big ones is Price Labs. I love Price Labs. There's a link right down below, and because they do dynamic pricing and they automate my pricing for me. So when I have my messaging automated through my OwnerRes or my Hospitable account, links to that down below as well. I have my smart thermostats, door locks, all that type of stuff in place. I have my dynamic pricing through Price Labs. Now I can go in and literally I don't have to spend that much time outside of just doing my listing optimization. But you know, if you do that really, really well and you have a high demand property, that only takes about an hour or two on a weekly basis. So the next step we talked about, bankability, is really the market. The market analysis, like through STR Insights, is absolutely critical. Here's the thing that I'm going to share with you. My dog Shaggy even knows this, don't you, Shaggy? Is that we don't want to invest into markets that everybody's talking about on social media. If everybody's talking about going into Branson, Missouri, it's probably too late. It's just like watching CNBC and making stock picks based on what Ron and Sana tells us about at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. By the time it becomes public, it's already too late. Invest in the secondary and tertiary markets. I'm going to give you some examples here. All right, Shaggy, leave me alone while I'm filming. There's a reason when I went into Gulf Shores, I did not go into Destin. I didn't go into Miramar. I went to Gulf Shores, Alabama, secondary market, even though it's like 100 miles away. Instead of investing into the Smokies, I went to Banner Elk, North Carolina. When I wanted to invest into Montana, instead of going to Big Sky or Bozeman, I went to Whitefish, Montana. Instead of investing into Scottsdale, Arizona, Cave Creek, Arizona. These secondary and tertiary markets, usually, because the entry cost is lower, the land cost is going to be lower. And when the land cost is lower, the dwelling cost is higher. What does that mean? Higher tax benefit if you're going to do a cost segregation study. Less competition, less after close renovation budget is required. Because like, look, I went to Banner Elk, North Carolina, spent $22,000 converting a 3-car garage into a game room. Nobody else had it at that point. That was literally in 2021. If I would have bought that same property in the Smokies, I got to put like $100,000 into a game room and then add another $75,000 like indoor pool to be able to compete. So I'm looking at places where the hosting level is not at this uber premium, so I can go in and apply and take financial advantage of it. If you follow these things and be really prudent, it's what I call the 550-250 program, and you have a plan for investing. This is number 4, but it's the most important. I have made and built my portfolio off of my 550-250 plan. That's 5 properties in 5 years, committing and being steadfast to only investing into properties that are going to generate $50,000 a year in net income, not gross, in net income. So in 5 years, I'm making $250,000 a year net. I have done that like 5, 6, 7 times. So what I do is then I go in and I take advantage and I do a return on equity audit. And I look at if this property is making $40,000 a year and I have $200,000 in equity, that's going to take me 5 years. Year number 1, I net $40,000. Year number 2, 40, so that's 80. Year number 2, year number 3, year number 4, year number 5. 40 times 5, 200,000. It's take me 5 years. That's my return on equity. Once I get to 6 years or 7 years, I'm selling the property, I'm accessing the equity, and I'm redeploying into a higher yielding asset. That's how you can start in like the $300,000, the $400,000, the $500,000 range, and then work your way up. Look, I am not a wealthy hedge fund manager. I wasn't in a previous life where I can just go buy whatever I want. I had to literally make a sound $126,000 investment for my first property. And then I've been able to stack, because that's the key to the 550-250 property. Unless you're independently wealthy, you need to follow this program, because you can make one investment, and in 5 years get to that $250,000. But most, like 90% plus, need to have that one reposition in the middle. That could be property 2, 3, or 4 to be able to get us, and hopefully we have enough appreciation to where we can split and add 2 properties, or just continuing leveling up for a mega property. That's how you build long-term wealth. These are the things you need to know before you get started. Most importantly, before you go, click the link right down below for the 550-250 plan masterclass. It's 100% free. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Have a great day and happy hosting.